have to be able to go second and 4, 3rd and 1, like all the time if they want to be able to sustain drives and keep the Vikings defense off of the field.
Absolutely. Let's ask the big picture question that is looming over the franchise. I do want to thank Tony Hoaglund, Hoaglund, your State Farm agent in Champlin, who handles my insurance, and Michael Russo's insurance.
Hi, Talk North listeners. I wanted to let you all know about State Farm's new Quotes for Good program. We partner with local nonprofits to raise money for great causes. The Viking Update show, I will donate $10 to the Adam Thielen Foundation, benefiting the University of Minnesota Masonic Children's Hospital. When you call in, be sure to mention the show so that we can track the donations. You can reach us at 763-421-4900 or check out our website at champlininsurance.com.
I mean, I'm getting this question from fans, from editors, from coworkers. If they went down and lost to the Saints and really weren't all that competitive, do you think that means the Wilfs should or would fire Spielman and or Zimmer?
So do I think they will? I don't.
I agree with you.
Do I think they should? I don't think so. I keep thinking back, there's all of this stuff, anytime any team, including the Timberwolves, or loses a game, fire everyone. And I just think you have to be careful with that. What I go back to is Glenn Mason getting fired from the Gophers for having a good career and good success, but not
and because a Texas Tech kicker made a 60-yard field goal.
Yeah, and so what Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman have done is, in general, have this team in the hunt every year. And, they have down years like last year, but every team does outside of the Patriots have down years every once in a while. I think that the big picture style, you see a front office that has drafted pretty damn well. I mean, you can say they haven't done a great job on the offensive line. True.
Quarterback
has been hit and miss.
Yep.
Yes. But in general, a lot of their hits, Danielle Hunter, Eric Kendricks, Xavier Rhodes was a hit before he fell off. Trey Waynes has been a very good player. Rudolph, Diggs, Thielen, like they do a good job of identifying talent and then developing that talent into really good players. And they're very competitive. Now, they haven't won the big one. That's true. To me, the only reason you would do something is if you just really felt in your heart of hearts that you had an option that was better. That that if we get this coach or if we get this GM, that's going to really ramp things up even more. Maybe they have that guy. Maybe they're on that track, but I would be reluctant to just blow it up, just given the overall larger sample size relative success that this tandem has had. And again, with the Wilfs in the will they have always been very pragmatic, very patient, model ourselves on the Rooneys type of owners. They don't want to be viewed as knee-jerk or anything like that. And so I just think I would be surprised, unless it's 50-0.
That's the thing. I agree with everything you just said, both on the would and should. And I think the only way they fire these guys is if the team looks like it doesn't want to play for Zimmer.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, and we've seen some big time glaring losses. The Philadelphia game, the Colts game, the Bears game at the end of last year, the Colts game a couple of years ago. We've seen some of that happen. So maybe that would be the thing that, okay, look, this is again where you just aren't prepared in a league built on parity, built on close games. If you're getting blown out again, that could that could be a reason, but I still would be surprised.
And by the way, there are people in this market who are basically, partners with the team who are going to say, "Don't fire Spielman, don't fire Zimmer," and it's because again, they're partners with the team, or they have connections, or they aren't allowed to say that.
Mm-hmm.
I've found Zimmer to be just kind of a cranky guy for the last few years. Hadn't been a whole lot of fun to be around. I don't think he's a bad guy,
right?
But he's just not great for us.
Right.
Spielman has been terrible for us.
Yeah.
Spielman wouldn't even look me in the eye when I watched the locker room anymore. And I don't think I've even been particularly hard on him. He just has decided he's going to leak information to the national people and put his name out there in the national light in the way that he wants. And he's playing that game. And you know what? He's allowed to do that. So I have no personal affinity toward keeping Spielman and Zimmer around. I just think you have to be careful if you get to a point where you think, 10 or 11 wins isn't good enough, and I can do better automatically. You might not be able to do better.
You might not be able to do better. That is the key situation that they're going to have to examine. And look, I think it is easy for us in the media to, if they're not as accessible as we want, or they're not as kind of approachable as we want, to immediately say, go get someone else. But you have to look at, I guess, the results in general. Tibbs and that regime was not accessible and not approachable. But for me, it wasn't that part of it that said that it was time to move on. It was all of the internal discord, all of the troubles that happened that brought that to a head. I don't think that this regime has faced that for the most part. Yes, they have fallen short in big moments, but it does seem like a group that has a handle on what they're doing, and there's not a lot of major distractions of, it's certainly not Freddie Kitchens style bumbling.
Oh God, no.
Anything like that. It's a professionally run team that has not gotten over the hump yet and has made some mistakes, but are those fireable? That's what you really have to ask yourself. And maybe they'll in the end they'll look at it and say, you know what, Kirk Cousins wasn't good enough. Yes, that is fireable. I guess you could see some logic in that, but in general, this is a team that is always competitive, that starts every year with high expectations, and rarely has a stinker of a season that really falls short. Last year was one of them. So it's easy to pull the trigger and say blow it up, but it's a lot harder to identify who you would bring in that is going to advance the story more than these two have.
Let's finish up with this. Let's end this on a hopeful note for all those Viking fans who are very worried today. Give me one reason the Vikings have a chance to win on Sunday.
One reason
I'll go first while you think about it. Defensive line depth. They're going to need to get after Breeze. They're going to have to be relentless. They're going to have to stop a good running game. And one of the strengths they have developed here is defensive line that has high-end talent like Danielle Hunter and Linval Joseph, and also has depth players who are making plays. That I don't know if that wins the game for them, but at least gives them a fighting chance.
Yeah, I think that's a good one to go on the other side of the ball. Anytime you go in to a game with Dalvin Cook and Stephon Diggs, you have chances to make big plays. And a lot of times these playoff games can be swung by one big play. And so if Dalvin Cook finds a crease and goes 60 yards for a touchdown, if Stephon Diggs gets behind a blown secondary and they connect and it's a big touchdown, that can be enough to seize momentum and get the Saints reeling, and then inspire your defense a little bit to make a few plays as well. So that's the overall picture is they have plenty of talent. Is that talent healthy, and can they put it together enough to win a very tough game?
Thanks to John. We'll also be doing John's primary podcast on the Timberwolves here soon. So check that out at TalkNorth.com. We're upgrading our website at TalkNorth.com. You can find all the shows there. Follow us at Talk North Pod to get the feeds as they come out, or subscribe to your favorite podcast app. Thanks very much for listening. We'll talk to you soon.